In episode 6 of Gaslands Garage, we will be covering Team Miyazaki. As always, this will be broken down into two parts, the sponsorship perks and the build breakdown. Let's start by breaking down Team Miyazaki's sponsorship perks. The first one up is Virtuoso. This perk is amazing and what makes this team drive so well. The first time a vehicle pushes it during any activation, it does so without gaining a hazard token. I'll discuss a little later during the actual vehicle builds why this is so important. The next perk, Elegance, restricts this team from taking vehicles with base handling of 2 or lower. Some of the heavier chassis, such as the ice cream truck, are going to be off limits for Team Miyazaki, but they make up for it by taking smaller chassis and faster vehicles. Showing Off is Team Miyazaki's audience vote generator, and if a vehicle resolves a spin, a slide, and a shift in the same gear phase without wiping off, it'll gain a Showing Off token. And if all vehicles have Showing Off tokens, they'll be discarded and the team will generate that many audience votes. With the sponsorship perks out of the way, let's move on to this team's winning build breakdown. This team is led by a new addition to the show thanks to Travis Kalanick, the Green Knight, and this vehicle did not disappoint on its debut. Performance cars are Team Miyazaki's bread and butter, and offensively this one is equipped with a front-mounted heavy machine gun. But its real offense doesn't come in the form of bullets, it comes with its driving stats. With a max gear of 6 and handling of 5, it's going to utilize perks to take advantage of that. The first perk is Power Slide. How Power Slide works is that instead of using the normal slide template, the vehicle may choose any template besides the long straight that it wants and utilize it as if it were the slide template. Earlier, I spoke of how important Virtuoso was, being able to push it without gaining hazard tokens. It's exactly for Power Slide. Being able to look for those slide results and get extra movement is crucial to how this vehicle operates. Restraint is a very important perk for this vehicle. It's going to allow it to remove a hazard token whenever it shifts down instead of gaining one like normal. Lastly is Expertise, which is going to improve this vehicle's handling from 4 up to 5. The goal of this vehicle is to stay ahead of the pack. It's going to use Virtuoso to look for extra slides to activate Power Slide, and Restraint for key hazard token management. Now we're going to move on to the backup, the buggies Midnight and Blackjack. Both of these builds are exactly the same, so I'm going to talk about them together. With a base cost of 6 cans, buggies are in my opinion one of the best vehicles in the game. These two have been equipped with front-mounted rockets. Rockets are the best can investment to damage dealing ratio of any vehicle limited to 2 build slots. They also help bring some much needed firepower to this otherwise lightly armed team. Armament is not their only strength. With a max gear of 6 and a handling of 4, these little buggies are awesome racers on their own, and all in a small 11 can package. There's no beating these things, and I add them to tons of teams. The game plan with these two is to put them in the back and gun down any vehicles that are trying to take out the performance car. With the build breakdown complete, let's talk about some pros and cons of this team. The first pro is that this team is very good at racing. The only other team that compares is maybe Team Idris. Their perks also help them be super maneuverable, which is great in some non-race scenarios such as capture the flag. And they're also able to activate in most gear phases due to their high gear ratio. And lastly, their pro resistance, because let's face it, Mars sucks, man. The first con is this team is not good in a gunfight. Offensively, they would rather drive away from a gunfight and win the race instead. They also have low hull points, which makes them somewhat of glass cannon builds, and they're also heavily reliant upon perks and not weapons. Lastly, Mars is after you, so you better watch your tail if you're driving around with this team. A 2-car build is completely legitimate with this team. You're going to do that by removing one of the rocket buggies and changing up the performance car a bit. You're going to give its heavy machine gun a turret for damage dealing at any direction, and then for close-in support you're going to give it a ram on both sides. Power Slide stays because it's still one of the most powerful things you can do with a performance car, especially with hazard-free pushing it. Evasion is going to help eliminate some of the damage coming in to this vehicle and help it stick around the battlefield a little longer. With an extra can left over, you're going to give grenades to your support buggy for a little hazard dealing. Well, that's it for episode 6 of Gaslands Garage and this Team Miyazaki build. I really enjoyed bringing this one to you. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. If you're enjoying this content, liking, commenting, and subscribing really help a small channel like mine grow.